All right, there we go. Now we're live on TikTok. Let's see, this is correct. Yep. Okay. Now we're live. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Now it works. Now, social stream. Social stream. Now click this. Artifacting enabled. Okay, and it says TikTok is activate the Twitch. Close that out. Activate the kick. Just bear with me on the artifacting. It's because my computer is dying. Auto find and activate. Live on both of those. I don't think, yeah, we're not doing anything with Trovo. So we can minimize that. Chat is up on both. And now, if I try to send a message, hey, what's good? There we go. Now it's on all of the things. And now it's over there as well. Perfect. Now social stream, chat, whatever. This is working. So we'll put it over here. Well, actually, I like to watch things over there. So, realistically speaking, this should be over here. And this thing should be over here. Or it should be over here. Okay. Or maybe there should be a dock with that in there. Up there. I don't know. Whatever. We could do something like this as well. All right. Well, like I said, I haven't been around in a while. I'm around. And the last time that I went live, the issue was that I had the reverb on the whole podcast, the whole live stream, whatever. This time go around, hopefully that's not an issue. But the only issue that we currently are experiencing is the artifacting because my PC is dying and I need a new PC. Other than that, as you might have saw on the last live stream, I have rearranged my studio, and there's a bunch of junk in the background right now, trying to basically clean it up a little bit, or not even clean it up, to be honest, but just like reposition everything to do something different. That different, I don't know what it is yet. It could be reaction streams. But I tell you what, the adjustments that I have made the uh, ideation, creation, production, etc. things that I do for the business side easier. And between this and my other setup in my house, got we got pretty good digs right now, as they say, or maybe they don't say anymore. But as I said right there, um, I don't know where to even begin with what's going on. I think really that just socially, I don't really have much that I want to do. Uh, there are things on TikTok that I see in terms of events and like singles events and um, things happening. But I don't know. I've just been having an experience that anytime I want to go do something, um, the timing is just not right. I look at like movies. Movies, I guess, is the best example because you're just like, yeah, I want to go see a movie. You look at the times and it's like, all right, it's 45 minutes to get there. I can't go right now and make a movie that's not going to take me 6 hours to take the time out of my day to go watch a movie. It's like it's going to take a lot of time. And so I end up deciding like I can't get there in 20 minutes and 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 see a movie, you know, now because there's like an hour worth of pre planning that has to go into any activity that I plan on doing. Um, and so I don't get the reward of going to see a movie um, right now. I don't know. I have in the past. When I had my apartment, which was like I don't know, it was one 2.5 blocks from a movie theater. Uh, it was much easier. Obviously, um, now I'm 40 minutes away from a movie theater. Um, either one, but either or. Actually, there's a new movie theater now in Hutto, which is like it's really for kids. When I went there, I was gonna see a movie, and the ticket pricing was like $18.50 for a single ticket, and I was like, yikes. So I ended up watching some fight. I can't even remember what UFC fight it was, but I ended up watching a UFC fight instead. Uh, and then yeah, I mean, it just the experience isn't worth the cost in in in, in my opinion. Like I just don't get the reward that I would like to get when I spend that type of money on a movie ticket. Now I understand people have different lifestyles, right? But you have to put yourself in my shoes as a single white male, 31 years of age in America, specifically Texas, uh, in 2025, right? That's the shoes that you should put yourself in, and I think a lot of people can't even imagine what that's like in in this day, and especially as an entrepreneur, right? I think the people that can probably relate the most to uh, my experiences is the people who are uh, basically servers or barbers or like anybody who has like a semi entrepreneurial like role in society right now. Even though they have like in some of those establishments, they're not the management or they're not the owner or whatever, but they depend on somebody who's an investor in real estate or something that is the person who's responsible for having the brick and mortar, and they get paid, below minimum wage because they depend on tips and these things. And I think that's the people who relate the most to an entrepreneur who is effectively glorified unemployed. And I'm that's not the case for me because right now things are going well, but um, I'm taking advantage of resources that are available to me um, based on my you know position in life, in this reality that we're in. And a lot of people have it a lot worse. Fortunately, that's not the case for me. And I do have to, I kind of have to, compromise in a lot of ways, in order for me to be able to survive in the way that I do. These compromises, sometimes are have a negative impact. Like for instance, like if I'm going to go see a movie, because I'm just using these as the best example because everybody knows that the movies are on a scheduled time. But when you look at the movies and they just don't fit your schedule, it's because the system, the way that the application works, the way that because the I'm not that I'm not the avatar for the that particular movie theater. Possibly that's why they have their scheduled times the way they do, because the consistency that they see is from families or seniors or a different avatar or customer demographic that they are setting their schedule up for. I'm not their target customer, and so like it doesn't fit me, right? And I find that to be the reality for the vast majority of things right now, which is very strange because I feel like there's a increasing number of not even just white but black, Hispanic, and a bunch of different, whatever you want to self-identify as, male individuals that are not they're not the that services are not being rendered for them, right? And it's there's a reason, obviously, for that because socially, it was uh, a lot of different social groups have demonized, you know, this the group of men in their 18 to, I would even say, like 50 plus. In a lot of ways, they've single individuals, married and 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 I guess confused, not confused to me, but um, I forget what the terminology is on Facebook. Facebook does all the analysis on this with all the relationship statuses. Um, they they analyze this stuff to death. Um, and in terms of marketing, I think that my mom makes a good point. It's like you know, I'm like I know about marketing, but I'm not a marketer. Like I don't have clients that give me a budget to go and spend on advertising to very to a large degree. Like every once in a while, you know, if it's something that they got a little bit of a budget and they can't afford to hire like a real marketer, uh, I might jump in and do something here or there, but I really don't have the reps to really, you know, uh, have a real deep understanding of like how the different filters work in these advertising platforms. Um, I get you could call me a vibe marketer, I guess, because I take my impression of what is going on is based on the reaction of popular creators' reactions to reactions, right? That's my impression on how people think, right? Because I'm of the opinion that most people get their opinion from the grapevine. I think that it's a huge game of telephone where the mainstream media, the alternative media, all of these different sources are reacting to one another, and each reaction then is a chain reaction to which the mass public, the macro public, derives an opinion on what society believes in at scale, right? I try to really steel man and straw man these arguments on both sides as to as to what like why people should or shouldn't believe a certain thing. A lot of the times I get brain fog, or I get some sort of obstruction in my thought process, and my train of thought derails. So like I really can't think too hard on a particular subject until like I'm completely uh like I just can't I don't I can't think about it for too long before it just kind of gets messy. And so you know if it comes to like how do British people with three cats and you know they're part of the LGBT. I don't even know. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna know because I just don't have the marketing experience to know what their behaviors are. Um, and maybe that's the demographic that these corporations are targeting because their household income has increased and is consistently increasing because of ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance, and DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And maybe it's because of that. And you know, I, I think that in some ways people might think that this is like charactering, um, a caricature of these programs. But in reality, that there's some truth to what I'm saying. I think is that these programs have done what they were intended to do, which was destabilize the power that men have over other groups, be it female or not, right? And I think it has destabilized that to where uh, people like me are not the primary group because we just don't have the we're not earning at the same rate. We don't have the same household income as the other groups, right? We're not. Maybe I don't know. Maybe this is just like just maybe what I'm thinking is incorrect. Like if you really drilled down into the analytics and the data, it might not support this. This is hypothesis, right? This is just like me analyzing it through my own perspective, my own experience, that things are different. Now, I think that people who are similar to me um, have a varying opinions on what will be what would benefit people like me. Um, I think those varying opinions, you know, I think people's varying opinions are important to uh, observe, react, and respond to. Uh, because I think the right thing to do is determined by uh, by being willing to compromise. I think I think that's true. You know, but is there a point at which you compromise too much, and you ultimately create a imbalanced um, reward system that ultimately creates um, a negative experience for any particular group. But if you're the one creating it, you create it for yourself in a way. And it's not you particularly, like I said, it's people like you, people similar to you, people with similar avatars to you. And then when you don't observe, react, and when you don't do those things, then people don't see or hear the perspective of someone who doesn't maybe agree that people hear it from Bill everyone, but I don't know. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say this. I don't know how many voices are the right amount of voices, but I think that ultimately everyone should be able to, and should not be there shouldn't be like the echo chambers should not be gas. They shouldn't be choking people out based on whether they voice or they don't voice their opinion, and so as to sort of support both sides of any given argument, right? So like the arguments, the major arguments, whether that be Palestine versus Israel or Russia versus Ukraine or currently Cambodia versus Thailand, you know, every single voice should be heard, and we could probably gain some insight into the human experience more in depthly based on those arguments. And I think a lot of people don't have the capacity to both hold micro and macro um, psychological analysis in in their head. Um, I'm That's my effort. My effort is regularly to analyze these things and make a make a decision based on both the micro analysis and a macro analysis of what should be right and what should be wrong. Because, of course, there's the individual experience, myself, my personal opinion, but then there is uh, how that impacts society. And we can, we can lean on things such as law, or we can lean on things such as religion, or we can lean on things like societal norms for our decision making in terms of how we analyze the situation and we determine our opinion on that thing. Um, I think the I think that people would argue against this by saying, well, by gaslighting in a way, and saying like, well, you're, and I'm actually using this not because this individual brought it up, but because they said it to me. Um, the concept of being lost in a pile of magnets, um, and that someone's moral compass would be lost in a pile of magnets. But kind of like the whole Hunter Biden, laptop story, and the Andrew Callahan interview. Um, just everybody kind of has their varying opinions on what should be done, what shouldn't be done. But in terms of the concept of having a macro and a micro perspective on a thing, and then someone making the argument that I'm ideologically captured, even based on the fact that I make an exerted effort to analyze from all varying perspectives to the best of my ability, because I'm trying to best understand the current um, the current like I'm trying to understand best how I should be reacting to any given situation, right? Because sometimes you could be doing the right thing and ultimately be getting the wrong results, because you're in you're in a you're trapped inside of someone else's ideological prison, right? And that is then there, and what happens is that is within another, and I'm gonna twist words here, another ideological prism. You see that twist there? Because at first I said prison, and then I came in and I said prism, right? Because for at the inciting incident of any given situation, there is um, I'm struggling for the word, but I'm going to say influence on the situation. And then as greater powers, you know, come into the situation, greater powers come into the situation, then that gets isolated. So there's an isolation in the very beginning, and then another isolation, and then there could be a greater isolation that comes in on top of that argues against the inner isolation of the isolation. And so you have to continue to kind of vary your perspectives, because at that very moment of an inciting incident, you have to you know, be prepared to behave in a way that's contrary to the result when the greater power isolates the inner isolation. Because in order to survive, you have to behave in a certain way within the inner circle to then when the outer circle occurs. Now, sometimes you have to do the opposite. You have to do what would be considered incorrect for the inner circle because of the rapid nature of the enclosing outer circle. And you can look at that as an example of the complete mismanagement of the past month and a half, 2 months of floods that have been happening in the United States. And the way that people not uh, um, who are not part of these disasters coming in to assist in the people who are directly affected by the disasters, and their complete like like disassociation with the conditions of the people who were directly impacted. So, whilst those individuals who were empowered, like, take advantage of the people who are directly impacted, because now those individuals are on their back leg, they're, in a those individuals are in vulnerable situations where they can be taken advantage of. And so that's a lot of what is happening right now. Not I'm not even just saying it's it's the governments. I'm saying it's corporations. Uh it's nonprofits. It's people with varying interests into the economics that is about it, and also into the basically the master planning of of what these places will look like for the benefit of those with the capacity, well, theory and theoretically, that multi-generational analysis that may negatively impact that inner circle of people who are directly impacted by the economic injury and the disaster that they face, and we can even talk about, the LA fires or Maui, and kind of like just talk about any of these aspects, or even talk about, Russia, Ukraine, or Israel, Palestine when it comes to these things. But then it can get real territorial, and it's not, you know, I don't think that those things are necessarily at this time, like, I don't think those things are as a result of just like incompetency holistically, and ignorance, and uh, like just um, it's the word I'm looking for. It's like malpractice, like just just like just like people who are just not, just let's just say it straightforward, retarded people. Like they think that they're intelligent and they're just retarded. Like they don't have a vision, a perspective for the well-being of the people. They just care about, I don't even know what they care about because it doesn't seem, it just doesn't have the hallmarks of um, of any greater good. It just looks like people are just doing things to do things, I guess. Uh, but I think on a macro level, that's the human that's the human species. That's what we do. I mean, if you just look at, you know, any megalithic site, you think of Göbekli Tepe, you look at the pyramids at Giza, you look at the, Mayan temples, you look at any of these, you know, um, structures from antiquity, and you're like scratching your head as to like, well, what happened? What? Why weren't these things? And even you look at the things in the Roman Empire, you look at them and you think, where was the preservation? What was it that people determined that these things weren't, you know, didn't need to have maintenance? These things didn't need to be, uh, there wasn't anything that needed to be maintained about them. You look at the Palace of Versailles. Like you just look at it and you're like, man, this place has been. You think this place should have been maintained way better than it currently is being maintained. You look at you just you look at the Statue of Liberty. You're like, well, this thing, you know, is run down. This thing has not been maintained. Um, and then what blame is it for the people uh, who developed the thing? Did they not provide a operator's manual? I mean, then you just think about how people behave in these days, and you realize that most people throw the manual out as the first thing. The instructions are the first thing that people tend to throw out. That they get the new shiny obsolete planned obsolete object. They go deet 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 a few times, and then it busts or breaks. They drop it, and they just don't take care of anything. Like that's the way um the way things are. And if you don't pay for the protection plan, uh you can't fix it. There's nothing you can do. If you don't pay for insurance in a natural disaster, there's not much you can do. And even then, will the insurance cover the damages, um, and what's been impacted, how you've been impacted? And then in a lot of cases, there are situations where something happened. The systems or institutions didn't determine that it was um, something that needed to be treated as as an economic injury, and no resources were deployed to accommodate those individuals. And as a result, everyone suffers. And then when another catastrophe happens, uh, those people are not eligible for um, reparations. Once again, once again, you know, it comes down to like, what are we to do if you're not someone in power, such as a Hunter Biden? Like, the vast majority of us don't have the opportunity to voice, to have such a voice. You get addicted to crack, your life is in a death spiral. There's nothing that you can do. I mean, I know people who have had uh I know people who have had issues with these sorts of things, and I don't even want to call it an addiction anymore. It's they're in situations because of multiple different reasons why that they need whatever. Man, they need some sort of coping mechanism to get through the the pain that they're experiencing. You know, and unfortunately, a lot of people get through it by taking it out on other people because they can't seem to hold themselves accountable for the pain that they're inflicting on others. And it makes them feel better about themselves because someone else is experiencing their pain. Um, Other than them, and I'm talking about like war. I'm not. I mean, in the greater scheme of things, I think that that's the truth. And I'm not talking about the warrior. I'm talking about war in terms of the people who are at the top, not at the people who are, you know, economically and socially uh, benefiting from it. Because look, legitimately, you know, a U.S. soldier, the vast majority of enlisted soldiers are there because they need to make a paycheck, not because of any sort of ideological reasoning. Like, these days, I think it might have been more true there was an ideological reason why people joined post 9/11, but these days people are astute to the reality that um, that the current military industrial complex is a capitalist, you know, that we're um, that the military um, is weaponized for the greater good of McDonald's and Walmart. and corporations, not for the greater good of the people. I mean, who cares about the brand? I mean, and in a lot of ways, I guess that's the American way of life is, our tribalism and we uh, how we how we personify brand. I mean, whether we create create it in some sort of fashion ourselves, or it's the affinity we have to the brands. Um, it does really make you think about the the herd mentality that we tend to have, um, and how we do determine those opinions. And I think I do have a fair amount of opinions that are herd opinions or hive minded. Um, and I think that I would change those opinions if the reward for changing those opinions superseded the the sacrifice for changing those opinions. That's it. Plain and simple. If I received more of a benefit than a deficit for changing my opinion, I would change my opinion wholeheartedly. And I think that the thing is that the people who are pushing me to change my opinion do not have the reward that I desire for me to change that opinion. They want me to change my opinion for my own detriment, right? Why would anybody want to change their opinion for their own detriment? Like, I can see, I can, con- I can conceive the reason uh, as to why that is the case for for a minority to push for that to be the case. But I think people who have steel manned these these issues in of the negative to create uh to go through with the case study have determined that there is no benefit for uh there's there's no benefit to it. There's little to no benefit for doing such a thing. I think I think that's a micro perspective potentially, because of course, like, there needs to, not that there needs to be, but that uh, there is a technological improvement for the advancement of AI, and juxtaposing that against the horse and buggy and the car, right? And then it very well may be the case that our dynamic of housing must change in order for us to accommodate the flying car, which effectively is the plane. That everyone that people cease to utilize ground transportation Like ground transportation may need to cease in order for air transportation to supersede ground transportation, flying cars, etc. But obviously, why the flying car? Maybe, and that's really what the thing ultimately becomes is like I forget what they say about the UAPs or UFOs or whatever you want to call it, but like multi terrain, or it's not multi terrain. There's another terminology, and I can't think of the terminology right now um, of the ability to transverse through water, ground, air, you know, all of the different space, even like of like the not there obviously are amphibious vehicles, so we have ground and water covered, right? But the capacity for it to be ground, water, and air, and then you know for everyone to have that technology um, mass produced, and for humanity not to change um, is a is a is a is a hard bargain to make. I think that that's the case, and I've been seeing a lot, not a lot, but I've seen some anti-alien propaganda out there, um, and I don't know their argument well enough to really understand, you know, what they're saying. Um, I understand. Okay, that might be confusing because the word alien can be extraterrestrial, or it could be an undocumented, or some would say illegal alien, you know, or an illegal migrant. Um, like we can split the hairs and consistently just go back and forth and get toxic about it all, and I don't have like ongoing conversations with people, um and I think that the thing would be that the thing about me not having ongoing conversations means is a lot to do with I don't know where people are coming from. um and I think that that's a big argument as to why there's a resistance to not having stronger borders, is because when you don't know where someone is coming from, you can't strong man their argument to suggest that they're acting in good faith, that they're being charitable, you know, that they have positive agendas. You just can't determine that as an absolute. You can't. There has to be mechanisms in place that assist in the determination of whether or not any perspective is can have accommodations met for it, that accommodations can be made for that idea. And realistically speaking, there is a difference between family, guests, and strangers. There is a difference, and that analysis takes real critical thinking to determine the process to which you implement individualistically and communally with standard operating procedures as to how to address um, any given situation. I mean, because listen, if it were the case that you would have to accommodate not just one family member, but let's say 10 family members, at any given time in a rapid, uh, in an emergency situation, like, well, one, hopefully, God willing, no, not 10 family members, but how many ever you have to accommodate can, you know, I don't even know. Realistically speaking, I don't even know. And then not to mention guests. Like if you have to accommodate 10 guests in an emergency situation, what are you to do? 10 strangers in an emergency situation? What's the proper procedure? Interesting. We just received a comment from a username that's very, very interesting. I'm curious as to like the AI in marketing, right? Because this is this marketing that I just received in the chat. The username is either really a strange coincidence, um, or the AI is really dialed in terms of what the input that they're receiving from this this broadcast and the transcription that it's getting, and then having it having that marketing going out there and looking to get in contact with me as a streamer, as a broadcaster. For the reason I need to I need to do this more. I have to obviously put in more effort to to do this. Communicating. I need to, because I don't know right now. It's very challenging to determine what to talk about. Because what even matters is a regular question that I have in my mind. You know, a lot of people who have made decisions um, that uh, they've made hard decisions. Um, I wouldn't even call them. I would call them decisions initially, but acceptances. They've made hard acceptances and compromises um, that I haven't made. I just have determined that those aren't hard decisions that I'm going that I would have made the same way that they have made them along their journey. And it doesn't matter how old you are in regard to these things. It's more of, you know, how they relate to me in my journey, and whether or not I made that decision um, at the same time that relatively uh, that you made them, or whoever's listening. I don't care. You know, you might be the same. You might be same age as me, maybe same generation as me, or whatever, and listening to this and have made the same decisions as me, or similar decisions, and as a result, you might have a broader time horizon on making decisions uh, than I do. And I don't have hard. I don't know. I don't think that I've made the best decisions, but I also don't think that I've made the worst decisions. Obviously, there are a lot worse decisions to be made, and there are a lot better decisions that could be made. In terms of relationships, um, I have, and we're talking about intimate relationships right now. I think that with my current perspective on them, I could have retained them more in. Well, here's the caveat against what I'm about to say. Is obviously those relationships would have had to agree to have um, participated in such a in such a um, in such a relationship, right? And so, realistically speaking, it's likely the likelihood that they would participate in a polyamorous or a polygamous relationship um, might not be realistically the case. And I think that's only because, like, you know, through my determination of my perspective now as who I am right now. Now, you know, if I could have if I'd have made poorer decisions based on what I believe now, um, or better decisions, I can't. Hindsight's 2020. Um, with any given intimate relationship, you know, who's to say that I might determine that the compromise resulted in um, maybe more vanilla than chocolate, or more Neapolitan, or more Rocky Road. Who knows what flavor of ice cream determined who. Maybe I'm consuming more Rocky Road now than I am chocolate chip. I don't know. In terms of the flavors of these relationships, in my lived experience. Um, you can only, like I said, hindsight is 2020. Ketchup, Heinz ketchup, you know, flavored. Um, yeah, there's no clear determination on on that. I'm not the jury is not settled, and I'm a jury of one. I'm the judge, jury, and magistrate in terms of my perspective on intimate relationships. Now, if we, it's a bit inappropriate to cross contaminate personal relationships with intimate relationships, but it does occur. Friends with benefits, or friends with no benefits, and friends just in general. Um, and what is a friend realistically defining a friend is I think a giant argument that a lot of people get is a hotly debated topic of defining what a friend is, because a lot of people will just deduce it down to companionship, and then companionship can be positive and negative, and can be toxic, and some people have a high preference for toxicity in their friendships. Um, and some people are I don't know. I'm talking to people who have maybe less integrity for themselves than maybe I do. In this regard, I think there's plenty of people who have more integrity for themselves than me, and I can steel man those arguments as well. And I'd like to have more integrity for myself. I think that that's an economic. Um, I think that money does solve those problems. I think money solves a lot of problems. Money probably solves 99% of problems. Um, of course, ultimately decisions are you have to make the right decisions even if you have the money. Um, Obviously, we've gone over and over and over this stream in regards to economic impact, um, and decisions as it pertains to economic impact and decisions. But uh, this is right now. I'm just having social commentary. I'm just kind of going on a diatribe. Uh, this is me. This is me publicly diarrheaing or diaring. That's not publicly doing a public diary of such thoughts. And I you know I am not someone a successful person should emulate. I'm not someone who comes from means should emulate. Uh, I am someone who has made decisions selfishly. Um, Someone who is obviously this is very self-centered. Even me trying to self-analyze and then put it in a public environment for others to analyze is the concept. That's the theory. But it's interesting when it's like the analysts, the psychoanalysts out there, are effectively gaslighters and what do you call it? What is the word that's just like stuck right here that I can't for some reason pull it out? It's just stuck, and it's like in processing right now. Um, what is the word that's like there in process, but is not coming out? It's the word that AI has been telling me. It is projecting is the word, but AI is not responding in chat currently, and therefore I am Optimus Prime. Oh well, I think I've put a lot out there today. More than more than I've done in a long time. That's almost an hour and 30 minutes. Well, I will. I'll buy it. Give me a vowel. You. Um, the first 10 minutes were tech support, in which I provided myself tech support. And then I really provided it for no apparent reason because um, we're not there yet. We're not there yet, but we will get there. We are back live. You know, uh, that's one step. I mean, we could do some reaction stuff. The only issue is that we're live on YouTube, and if we do YouTube live, they will strike us like a. They'll strike us like a lightning strike. You know what? Is there an OBS plugin now for that for that stuff? Do you know what I'm talking about? Artifacting. Um, because that's what is it? Stream Elements has it. Stream Elements, OBS. Let's see. Is it Stream Elements that has it? Multi-stream, multi-chat UI. It's like what is it called? Dude, I forgot what it's called, but like anyway, like multi-canvas. That's what it's called. Multi-canvas OBS plugin. I think that's what it's called. Where it like Multi-canvas, alert separation, something like that. I can't even stream elements. Hi, dude. I can't remember what the term. I can't remember what the term is for it. Uh, I think I'll get better at. I think I'll get better at it. I think that what I need to do really is just not stream on YouTube. You know, and then I guess yeah, just not stream on YouTube because YouTube is the issue. Really, it's just the YouTube is going to censor it because they just don't like. They're like, for whatever reason, against any sort of commentary unless it's in a edited video. Like they just won't. They don't like live streamers doing react streams on their platform for no apparent reason. I mean, there's obviously apparent reason because like obviously they've been a video platform for longer than Twitch and longer than Kick and all these other platforms that are out there now. Um, but yeah, I need to figure out what to react to. I don't want to just like open up my YouTube, right, and then just start a video and react to it. I think there's got to be, like I look at the top React streamers and what they do. Like the top streamers have a team that puts together playlists of videos that that then they react to on stream, right? And and they produce content that has a level of script to it, but it's in the in it's most of the content that they react to is in the zeitgeist of popular culture. I think popular culture, including news and politics. Uh, Aside from the what I think is true popular culture, because for whatever reason the the powers that be demonize, demonize. You see, um, true popular culture because people are obviously consuming a high level of adult content. Uh, People are consuming a lot of human content, right? It's just like normal things that people would see and have interest in. Uh, but anyway, um, hmm. Um, I am mentally stuck right now. Mentally stuck right now. Um, am I not doing anything that I could be doing something else? Possibly. Um, also just like living in the moment. Living in the moment, people might say, "Ah, you could be reading a book. You could be listening to music. You could be yeah, a there's a lot of things that I could be doing. There's a lot of things I could be doing. Um, I think if I was see with what I'm doing in my life, I am. I think I'm helping a lot of people. I think if people are listening, and those people who are listening, I have helped them. I've been an assistant to them in accomplishing their desires and goals. Uh, and you know, if it's emblematic of anything that's going on in my life, um, I've helped them reorganize things and make things more organized. I've helped them grow, and I don't necessarily need. And this is, there's a viral clip going around of Birdman um, talking about young money, cash money business, and I I think similarly have a organization, and my organization works with other content creators, and in doing that I help them create content. I don't necessarily need to be on the field like I am currently creating content. I can assist in a management capacity in helping them push out and distribute their content. But I think what they're missing ultimately is, and this is for a lot of them who have the actual gift of gab, and are they actually know their niche and they actually know what they should be doing. Um, they fail to do it right. And the thing is that with all of the whatever nonsense I've been uh, conveying previously about macro and micro philosophy, previous to getting into this very niche, nuanced aspect of content creation, is that I know that live streaming and podcasting and vlogging and reacting and just overall content creation methods um, grow the brand that you're building and developing, right? And so when someone is there to support you in doing that and giving you guidance to make content that resonates with your niche and your demographic and your viewers and your audience, like, there's a benefit to it. Now, when you're doing it on your own, a lot of the time you will you will forego content creation. You will say that you are a content creator, and I'm using myself as a perfect example, and not create the content. And sometimes you are a creator, but you're just like you're doing content creation, uh, but you're you don't have a consumer's perspective of what content you should be creating to reach more viewers, right? Or you need to be, it exists, short form video exists, but you're not you're not convinced as to what the value of it is to your audience. Live streaming, podcasting, you name it, what the thing is, you're not convinced on it, and so you need someone with a varying perspective to kind of assist in the process. Maybe you just don't want to do the editing. Maybe it's that you're not motivated um, to learn about new software. Maybe it's that the technology, the hardware is not, you're not, it just doesn't click with you like it does other people like me. Um, like you don't resonate with it. Like there's a lot of things that people don't resonate with, and you have to have someone around you to kind of resonate with it so that it can be digestible for you. Uh, and I think that's the case with a lot of the things I was talking about philosophically. Is like if there was someone that could digest uh, the the things that I am unable to digest for me, and then that what they digest is more palatable for me and more digestible for me, I think that would be a very beneficial thing, you know? Uh, and I think the thing is that I consume a lot and I digest it, and then I think I have a good smell test as to how to reconvey that information to other individuals who would probably be unable to digest um, that thing. I consume a lot of stuff, right? I'm a bit of a chubbier boy. Maybe I'm not fat. I'm chubby. That's probably the case. I mean, if it's black and white, it's either not fat or fat. I would say I'm fat. I would. But on a scale, I'm more chubby than fat. You know. Um, and on a scale of muscular or not muscular, I'd put myself on not muscular scale. But then some people would argue that I'm more muscular than not muscular. I guess my fat muscular aspect. I do a lot of fat things, um, because I like it. I like eating junk food. I like to if there's an addiction that I have, it's to food. I have an addiction to junk food. I love junk food. I love food. I like it. I'm not out here smoking cigarettes. I'm not out here drinking alcohol crazy. I don't do drugs at all, really. I never been addicted to anything, really. I have, like, an addiction is food. I love food. Don't get me wrong. I love to eat. I really do. I I I don't think I could be fat. Like if my body would permit it to be like super fat, like 800 pounds, I would have to not move though. And I like to move. Like don't get me wrong. I like to move. Um I don't like to be sedentary that much. I know my Apple Watch is just ticking on me saying that I need to stand up. And then and that would be the argument that be like this guy doesn't like to move, right? He's sedentary. Um but no, I like to move. Um but I also like to be rewarded for moving. Um and I don't like sports because there are people who are better than me, and that's not rewarding. That is actually, um, I like to be the best, and sports for that reason. I don't even like watching sports because of that. Um, because I am very competitive in that aspect, in that I do not like to be worse. I don't like it, and I'm physically not the best, and so as a result, I don't like watching sports because I don't like to I don't like to congratulate for people for being better than me. Um, unless maybe a female, maybe, and that's the problem that I have in my life, is that, like, dang, I really like hot girls. I do. I really do. I really like hot girls. And it's not necessarily, a muscular thing or a skinny thing when it comes to girls. It's not. It's like a it's like it's a visual thing. It's a very visual thing. And, that's what's weird about objectification, is that it's not like it's a black and white thing. It's not. It's not a black and white thing. It's not like she has to be this, that, the third. It's a like it's a taste thing. And it comes back to food. It comes back to food. It's like, man, I do love a pizza, but hell, I am very kind of like, I'm not picky about pizza. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll eat something that I don't I don't love, right? There are some things that, like, man, I've had too much of it. Like, I don't really love that thing as much. I don't love it. And, I might have a taste of it, and then I'll have another taste of it, and I'll be like, man, I just reminded myself, I don't love this thing. I don't love it. Nah, I don't. Like, McDonald's is a good example of that. Like, I like it, but I'm not McLovin' it. Maybe that's a regional thing. That's another thing to take into account, is that it's regional, because it's like, man, I kind of like it over here, but I don't really like it here. And actually, a good example of that is this chicken place locally, is like, one over in another town, it's just not good. And over here, it's like, it's okay. It's tolerable. Over there, whatever they're doing it wrong. And it's like, well, who hasn't realized that that's not the same product that you'll get over there? And they're the same brand. Or even McDonald's is a good example. Like, some places it's good produce and other places it's not. And it's like, what is happening? Like, can't you, like, standardize the experience from store to store, from restaurant to restaurant? Why is this a different experience that people are getting? Like, the fries are saltier over there or more cooked over there. What is going on? Like, is there no communication? Um, that seems like it should be standard, right? And so it's like, some places I'm like, one example is like Sonic. I'm I am like 100% now not eating any Sonic food because it's just gotten so bad. I cannot eat Sonic anymore because the quality of the food is so bad. It is rotten goods every single time I get it. It's like the bread is soggy, the meat is dry, the pickles are literally toxic waste. It is garbage. And I am and it's not that the product has to be garbage. It just is garbage. A burger can be good. Chicken can be good. It just is so bad. Whatever it is. Like, I don't know if they're selling goods that are 3 years old, that are frozen, and they just have, because of product waste or whatever it is that they have to sell this disgusting, repulsive food at Sonic, but it is ubiquitous across the board. Horrible food. Right? It used to be you could go there and you could get decent quality food, right? It would be not so bad fried goods and not so bad uh vegetables and things on the goods. But now it's disgusting, detestable everywhere. And I actually also want to comment and mention that I went to Wendy's and I had a bad experience there as well. Like, they're supposed to be fresh, never frozen, and the burger I got was like 17 days old on the grill burger. Right? It was disgusting. It was gray matter. Like, it was. I was trying to determine whether or not I was going to get food poisoning from this burger. And I wasn't settled. And I wasn't settled because I ate that burger. I'm telling you, I'm going to eat that thing. So it's not. I'm not that. It's not. I love food. I gotta be honest. It's my addiction. And it's one of those things. It's really one of those things. Because, if I was a drug addict, let's say I was addicted to smack, heroin, black tar, all of that, and I just like use dirty needles and shit. Like, because obviously there's addicts, right? They gotta have it. I I don't know. Nothing has ever been like that except food for me. Like, poor decision making skills because I spent the money on it and I'm like, I cannot, like I'm angry that the fact that this food is repulsive, but I spent the money on it and I can't get my money back. Like, I cannot get my money back for. I mean, fast food is one of those examples. Is if you don't react at the very minute to it, and you drive home with the bag, you make you make an assumption that the quality of the goods in that bag are going to be good by the time you get back to the house, or if you get along the way. I don't know what you might be on you might be on a road trip or something like that. You assume that the goods in that bag are going to be of decent quality. I mean, obviously, in today's day and age, assumptions are that it's going to have some level of of bad to it. There's a level of compromise that you make because you're getting fast food. You're like, oh, okay, there's compromise here. But below, like to be to the point at which that that's going to give you food poisoning, like it's going to be so bad, like that's the point at which I'm like, my addiction overcomes me because I'm like, I will eat it. I'm not saying if I see mold on it that I'm gonna like scoot that piece out and eat the rest. Like, not there on that. Not may like here's the thing, cheese is obviously mold, so it's questionable. Blue cheese, is moldy cheese. Like, that's the thing. Like, there's like, a fine line, obviously, a very fine line because I will eat blue cheese. Some people call me crazy for that. Meanwhile, if mayonnaise touches a thing, I'm not eating it. No, I'm kidding. If mayonnaise touches it, I might scrape it off. I've been known to scrape off mayonnaise before and eat something. I have an addiction, like, to food. Um, like I have an addiction to food. I will eat sweets. I will eat it. I don't really like cake, but I will eat cake. I do not like the texture of cake. I don't like the sweetness really level of cake. But if the cake is in front of me, I am eating the cake. It's an addiction. I have it. I have an addiction to food. I love food. I love it. The reason why I love it is because I really love really, 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 really good food. And I like alcohol. I do. Am I addicted to alcohol? No, because I can just, like, I don't need alcohol. I need food. I need it. Even if it's, like, not good, I need it. I am addicted to food. I am a foodaholic. Really. I am addicted to food. I need food. Like, I I need it. Like, am I hungry right now? Yes. I would smash anything right now. I'd smash it gluttonously. That's the thing. And that's the problem. That's the problem. I am a glutton for food. I am a glutton for soda. I love sodas. I love sodas. I will drink a soda down 12, 13, 14, 15. I'll drink a 24 pack in a day. I would. I would. I could. I could do it. The problem is the bathroom. Like, I don't love the bathroom. I don't love going to the bathroom like like that. I have my digestive situation is not the best, and that's the problem. My addiction to food is in contrast to my ability to digest it. So I consume, but I cannot digest. It's an addiction. It's a serious addiction. Uh, and I think that the addiction could be treated with better food, right? Because that's what all addicts think is like if you have the best drugs, you won't take the bad drugs. That's the theory, right? I assume that that's the theory. If anybody disagrees with me, please let me know. Like, you know, like if you always had good drugs, you would never take bad drugs. That's that's the theory, right? The reality is that there's not enough good drugs. Like, even if it's aspirin, right? There's contaminant, right? There's contaminant, right? Like, right? You're gonna take a bad aspirin. Am I am I right in saying that? I might be wrong. Like, I assume. I mean, not even if it's a bad aspirin, but let's just contrast aspirin and ibuprofen. Like, at some point, you're not gonna take aspirin. You're gonna take an ibuprofen because you thought it was an aspirin, and that's not gonna give you the same result, right? And so it's like pizza and chicken. Like, if you only ate chicken and chicken doesn't give you this problem, and one day you not accidentally in my case, but you eat pizza, it's not an accident. I have an addiction. I have an addiction to food, and I really love it. and I do not want to part with it, right? I would not want to part with it in this existence. I love food. I love the story of raining meatballs because wouldn't that be delicious? The day that it rains cats and dogs, not cool. Rains meatballs, yummy, yummy. Cats and dogs, what went wrong? Cats and dogs is not something I don't need anything else to feed. I mean, that's part of the discussion, I guess, is that like when do you step it up and not only do you love food, but do you become a food connoisseur, someone who conveys information in regards to the best food. And then at that point, you're a food connoisseur. You go to the next level, which is you're a food provider, right? And you provide the best food, right? Look at this. Chubby, chubby. Okay. And I am not a chef. I am not a chef. Uh, I'm not a chef. However, I do love food. And I have been known to cook before, right? I've been known to cook for myself and for others. But I am not a cook and I am not a chef. It's not me, okay? I I don't have the capacity to do that. Um, financially, financially, I do not have the capacity to do that because to operate a restaurant, you to operate a restaurant, what do you need? I don't know. Golly, man. Tabloids. Tabloids. Oh, man. I'm trying to push through the fact that I really don't have anything going on. Nothing. Um, ever since my grandmother died, uh, I already was disconnected from society, right? My analysis of society was based on uh, other people in society and what they were doing on the internet. Okay, I'm gonna read this comment and then figure out what it has to say. Okay, right. Okay. Uh huh. And once again, the comment I have received is marketing. The the greater question is, what do you do to market your stream organically? And let's even say, what do you do to market your stream paid in a in a in a not a, in a culturally acceptable way. What is the culturally accepted way to market your stream? Um, you can go on other people's streams and you can pay them to be on your stream or be on their stream, right? So then, in theory, that there's a reciprocated value of you going and collaborating with them. So a paid collaboration. And then beyond that, I don't really know. I don't know if you can bot your stream in an effective way. I don't know if there's like a good vendor for that. And I don't know. These people are obviously not it. Whoever this is a scam phone call. Another scam phone call. It's like every single day I get like 10 to 15 calls from scam likely, right? I got scam likely in my in my chat right now. What else is going on? What was I getting? Well, I don't even remember what I was talking about. Nah, I got derailed by this chatter. Derailed by this chatter saying nonsense. Uh, I lost it. I lost it, then I found it again. Let's see here. Yeah, what I was saying is like my grandmother passing away and me being already removed from society, um, in a traditional sense, like a 9 to 5 job. I've had a few 9 to 5 jobs. Nothing of note, to be honest. So my skills that I've developed are not necessarily skills that you need for. They're not skills derived from the workforce, right? They're skills derived from self education. Some, or not even some, but they're derived from traditional education as well. So I have a master's degree in business, but that master's degree, how applicable is it to today's modern workforce where the the skills that people have developed to survive within the workforce are necessarily skills that you learn from self education or institutionalized education, right? Because like if I for the people that I've spoken to who've had, um, let's just say incomes. Let's not talk about jobs, but incomes that support the cost of living for the region that they live in. A lot of the times they've worked without education for 50 years, right? Um, let's say 40 years, you know, because that let's say that the oldest people that I know are my parents, right? But I'm not talking about my parents, but I'm just talking about people of my parents' age or my parents' generation. So give or take 5 or 10 years, either direction, right? 40, 35, 40, 45, right? Either direction. They've been employees for said time period and had incomes that met, well, either barely met or exceeded the cost of living for the region that they lived in, right? So let's say, like for example, in Austin, Texas, in order to be self-sustaining, right? No roommates, 1 bedroom apartment. Actually, let's be specific. Let's be more let's make it a studio apartment, right? You need to be making at a bare minimum $35 an hour to afford the cost of living of Austin, Texas right now. And I'm talking about anywhere in this anywhere. I'm not, the core of the city. You need more. Like we're talking about anywhere in the metropolitan area, including Georgetown, including Round Rock, including Kyle, including Buda, including all these places to be self-sustaining without debt, without like um to meet expectations. That's electricity, food, insurances, all the things that you need at least $35 an hour. And unless if you go anything below that really, you have to be taking on some form of debt, whether it be credit cards, loans, something. You have to have it. You have to be taking on some form of debt. And I don't think you can afford to have Uber, Lyft, or anything like that without your employer subsidized uh, transportation or something like that to do it. I think people will try to argue that you need less, like you're yeah, but I'm talking about self-sustaining. If you're not listening to what I'm saying and you're like, well, I've got a girlfriend, da, 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 or some sort of, you're trying to make it applicable to you. You're not self-sustaining. You have systems that you rely on that are not, you're not on your own, no friends, no roommates, in a singular apartment. In order to don't try to make it applicable to you, make it applicable to the standardization of it. And they're like, well, that doesn't exist. Well, no shit, that's the problem, right? That's the problem. Like, the problem is that there's no self-sustaining system aside from gig work, right? Gig economy work, and to there's no Lyft or Uber driver or whatever that is making. They may be making $35 an hour. They may be able to figure it out delivering food, whatever the case may be. But the depreciation on their vehicle and the cost of maintenance and everything like that is a diminishing factor to the amount of money that they're making per hour, right? So you have to that into account, and therefore they make little to nothing. And I have firsthand experience in this, as someone who exited the traditional workforce and participated in the gig economy. Um, you know, and that's the issue, is that there is an influx of too many people who are holistically reliant on the gig economy. Um, and that is currently the case for me now, even. Um, I am in the gig economy, but there is no automation to it. What I do, there's no automation to it. I don't have an application that I participate on that has that is as economically reliable as the demand for transportation, or the demand for for consumables. Let's just put it that way. I there's just it does not exist. The system that we operate in now does not need that, and therefore, what I need to do is provide more entertainment. Right, I do need to be streaming more. I need to be producing more podcasts. I need to be doing more to market and promote that that I do creative work. Um, I, I I pick up creative outsourced work, so I do video editing. I do short form video editing, long form video editing. I do produce remote production. Um, I do well, I do blog production, I do newsletter production, I do sales to some capacity. Um, I I do I do the things that someone might do at a company or an organization outsourced, but I don't necessarily do it the way that they would do it at a work in a work in a work environment. Probably not in a corporate environment. That's the term that I'm looking for. I don't do it the same way. One, because let's be honest, um, I am dependent on the healthcare marketplace for my insurance, health insurance, and so I pay a premium and a deductible uh, based on the healthcare marketplace um, and based on my income, uh, which is based on my Schedule C of my taxes um, as an entrepreneur. And that is a glorified way of saying I am unemployed most of the time. Uh, Even though I make about as much as a McDonald's employee, right? And let's be frank here, a manager, right, at a McDonald's. Um, because I don't have the same costs that a manager at McDonald's would make. I probably make more than them spending money wise, right? And I also outsource a good amount of client work that is time that is tedious to people that I have met in the global gig economy over the course of the time that I've spent um, being in the gig economy. So I have resources that others don't have. I have relationships internationally that an employee would not have. Um, because I just have a different. I have to have relationships with people. Don't get me wrong. I have definitely fried people overseas for performing very poorly before and not meeting expectations. So I also have you know people that I know that have really screwed the pooch on stuff and that get 1 star reviews. Like if I could give no star reviews, I can give some no star reviews to people. But I also have people who have stellar or not stellar that are stellar. And I will have to check something actually now that I'm thinking about it. In terms of outsourcing, so I have resources that I've picked up along the way that people who work for organizations they may have them because the organization has implemented them, but they might not have this. Golly, I apologize. These hiccups are killing me right now. Oh man, heartburn. Um, they might they might not be perspective. They might not have the perspective that they could utilize them in their own business if they were to get terminated. Um, and how many people have been terminated? I don't know, but like terminated and then been forced to be in a similar uh, circumstance that I'm in terms of money and such. Uh, I am, I don't have a good perspective on it, and especially because the media would, I mean, that's just the media. It doesn't really convey, it doesn't convey uh, I don't think they really say the whole truth, right? I think that they sugarcoat the reality of people who are out of the corporate world. Well, I mean, if you look at the the number of huh, there's actually a little bit of a crossover here, but like the undocumented workers who are um, illegally employed, like that's a high number. But then we don't document the amount of them that are in the gig economy, right? Because obviously there's some number that are working for corporate environments under the table or whatever, um, because that's protected by some level of confidentiality. Um, so that number is inaccurate, no matter how it's conveyed in the media. Because there's really, how are you? What would you? How do you possibly measure that number accurately? You don't. And so competitively, I mean, competitively, I'm not. I'm competing against. I'm competing against a global workforce of English speaking individuals who could facilitate the work that I do. I work in I mean obviously I am in the central standard time zone, and so that's going to be best for, you know, somebody that someone out there would be it would benefit them most to work with me, right? And that could possibly be like, I mean, let's be honest, like China might be really interested in working with me because, I could. Well, the issue is they speak Chinese, but they don't speak English. But I don't know, South African, you know, when when uh, when they're sleeping, they might want to be paying me to do the work while they're not operable. But they probably don't want to pay my rates because they're broke. In UK as well. Like I'm pretty, any English speaking place may be interested in outsourcing their work to Americans because we can sell to their. See, the thing is, they most likely probably sell to us, you know, whatever garbage they're trying to sell to us instead of selling it to their, their local population. Maybe I don't know. Is there enough GDP? Is there enough of it to suggest that we have to do the services for them and reach them? Is there enough? Is there enough on meat on the bone? Who knows? But yeah, I mean, I'm out of the workforce, and so in terms of, and maybe that's a larger portion of reality than they suggest. I mean, that's the thing. The numbers that they say are like, okay, the of the working population, only 5% are unemployed, right? And I am in the demographic that would be considered unemployed unless they're fudging the numbers, you know? Um, and that would be really, really bad, you know? Um, because it would suggest that uh, it would the suggestion it makes is just really bad for, I think, our society, because we need to be addressing the fact that people are like, if there's a poverty line, like if the number is skewed, then the numbers of people living below the poverty line are infinitely worse than they suggest they are. Because, like I'm saying, it's like the cost of living. We're not talking about like the cost of, we're not even talking about the cost of happiness, but the cost, the bare minimum of cost of living. Like, if you go on not on Zillow, if you go on Indeed, Monster, these type of things, and you do the average income of the current opportunities published on the platform, it's going to be below the cost of living. It's not going to supersede the cost of living. The amount of opportunities versus the population of people that need an opportunity, right? And there's some level of shifting, I guess, right? So there's some level of it, right? People in and out of the workforce, people going from translatable, I don't know if that's the right term, transferable employment. So, like someone working at a McDonald's is transferable to a Burger King. Obviously, they have to learn some level of different skills, but how transferable are those skills? You know, presumably, it doesn't uh, interfere with operations. Presumably, there's not too much. It almost makes you think: is there an internal training system for uh, compatibility between a like I wouldn't even call it career transitioning, but like transitioning. I guess that's the terminology. I don't know if that's the proper term, but like transferring skills and moving from one organization to another organization that's similar, if not congruent or parallel, geometrically aligned on a plane of existence in a time. I'm honestly getting exhausted of just even thinking about this, because I wish I could really have an answer to this. You know, I wish I did, and the answer would be like the contribution that I could make back to um, the community that surrounds me. Um, and at this stage, I just don't have enough. I don't have enough opportunity. I need more opportunity. I need people who have the mindset that I have, and to deviate some of their resources to me so that I can be a conduit to providing those resources to others. That's the reality. I mean, realistically speaking, I need capacity. I need I need workflow to increase. Um, and workflow for me has decreased over the past 2 months. You know, and there's a aspect of it that could be there's an aspect of it that could be arguably blamed um, on communication, right? I have not been communicating to to a lot, to a high degree. I've not been communicating. One of those things is that we've developed a coaching program called the Ultimate Creator Package, that we have students in there, and one of the biggest issues is student participation. So our ultimate creator package is really been like we need our students to participate more. Uh, because if you're looking for, I don't even want to call them students, right? We got to call them creators because that's what they are, or designers, whatever. We need them to participate because they want to sell their 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 knowledge. They want to sell their personality. They want to sell them. They want to sell themselves, right? But they're just not engaging, right? And that's why I'm out here right now. That comes down to that. It's like I have to show that with nothing, like literally nothing, you can do it. I have no talent, no skill, nothing. I am in the pursuit of making something from nothing, right? I'm not out here showing get rich quick schemes. I don't even do that. I don't even do that. But you can do nothing from something just based on there is someone or something out there that can utilize your value, right? There's something or someone out there that can utilize your value. Be it be it a religion, a country, uh there's some way for you to accumulate resources. The resources will come to you, right? Based on you going out there selling yourself and something or someone determining that you have value. Now there has to be a channel. There has to be a way for you to channel that value in. Um, and the way that you channel that value in is through a website or through monetization on the platform or through an application. There has to be some way for you to bring that value in, right? And so we have developed the ultimate creator package, which guides you through the process of developing those things. So we're in the process of helping people design their podcast, design their live stream, design their website, design. We help design, but then once it's designed and then we help also with the process of implementation. Once it's designed and implemented, it's the individuals they have to be driven to produce and create, and maybe they need help with production as well, so we help with the production side, and we help with it, all of that, like, and I could go into the different clients that we've worked with before, and it comes down to, at the end of the day, people get exhausted, right? People get overwhelmed, right? And there has to be a treatment for that as well. And I try to help and assist in that because, listen, I go through it as well. Like, I haven't been here. Um, I haven't been here to, like, really deal with it that much, right? I want to adjust this light a little bit because I feel like the light should be more pointed this direction because I'm, like, talking toward the light. I'm, like, pleading the light to please come onto my face and make me look good. Like, let me make me look cute, make me look attractive, and maybe I can attract people to what I have going on. If I was attractive, and I don't want to be I don't want to be attracting the wrong thing. That's the thing. Like, you have to think about it. You're like, do you want to? You can be attractive, but do you want to be attractive and what if you start attracting the thing that you don't want? That's the thing. That's the big. That's the biggest challenge. Is like, how do you attract what you want? right? And you can be manifesting something, right? You can manifest the things that you want, right? The issue is with the culture of manifestation is they often, at least for me, they're manifesting the they're manifesting something I don't want, right? The gym the oh my gosh, what's the term? The gematria, is that what it is? Like the people who are like 5 plus 6 is uh is 11, and 11 equals 1 plus 1, which is 2, and 2, if you 2 the 2, it's 4. You know what I mean? Those people are like, what? You know, and then that equals the 33rd degree, which is Masonic. And it's just like, what? It's like the rabbit hole of information that what to for what, and I'm not trying to. I know that I know there's value in it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I know the value is that people enjoy and are entertained by horoscopes, and I'm not saying that I'm not entertained by it. Don't get me wrong. I'm entertained by uh the whole concept of human design. Like, I'm entertained by these things. Listen, I'll go on TikTok and I'll doom scroll people who are telling me, the money's coming in tomorrow. If you don't turn on, don't don't uh don't scroll by, or you deny your blessing. Uh, what else? um, Use this sound to get the most, you know, or like the whole like right now the thing is like the AI videos of people, you know, the AI videos of a Jet 2 holiday. Da, 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 da. Like, what the fuck? like just like it's, you know, and then the like demonization of it, from the boomers who are like, it's it's depleting your dopamines and it's hurting your serotonins, and it's just like, it could not be more like people's opinions on technology could not be more insufferable. It's I'm I'm disgusted by the radical. I'm disgusted by the radical aspects of both sides. I really do not like the people who demonize technology. Technology. Yeah, I despise people who are anti AI. Like, they are the epitome of of deplorable. Like, people who are anti AI. It's it's like the people who are like, let's not get rid of horses because cars aren't better. Let's keep horses. I like a better horse. Like, just like, morons. I think the term that uh, that people are using is nevron, which I don't I'm not familiar with it yet enough to use it enough. And that's the thing is like the terms are all often kind of the same. Moron, nevron. I don't know. Maybe they're not congruent or parallel. But yeah, I just think that that's the and I also but I simultaneously think that the opposite is true too. The people who are too like the end of humanity, bro. AI is gonna be the best thing ever. Like just like aloof. I say that word. I use that word and incorrectly too much because I think it means ditzy. Like I say that because it sounds like it. It's like when you say the word aloof, it sounds like it means ditzy. But what I really mean is people who who are extinctionists. Either way, like that's I think it's just I just don't like people who are anti algorithm. I don't like people who are like absolutists. And really they're morons because you can't have a holistic uh, perspective. You're just gonna have your moronic perspective based on the content that you individually consume. And there's an argument as to why that's the case for me. And I can completely strong man or steel man that strong man it too. Strong man. I'm a strong man. That's a fact. Um, that's hypothetical. Because it is not a fact. It is a theory. Um, yeah, I think that's yeah. I can see a perspective as to like I don't consume a lot of liberal content. Like I don't consume feminist man hating content. Um, honestly, I don't think it's that mainstream. Like even in their community, I don't think it's like that. I don't know of a like a strong like who's their biggest influencer. I don't even know in their space. I don't know. Like I don't even know if they really know how to use a camera. To be honest, like if they did, I guess they would be more popular. If they knew how to like really convey their message or get their message out there. Um, it might just be one of those things. It's like my algorithm might my algorithms on platforms may be like have like a firewall against it. And that actually the truth might be that it's not it might not be an individual thing. It might be a like certain content is not permitted where I live. Like I mean, obviously like they talk about Russian propaganda and all of these different things like maybe like the powers that be in my region restrict that information from being conveyed to me or delay that information from being conveyed to me. But I don't actually know. I don't know. And it could be the reality. It could, broken record. You heard me stutter. I'm stuttering. I must be buffering. I froze. I froze. I have nothing going on. I am looking at my YouTube algorithm and nothing on here matters. There's some things on here that could in incite some frustration, and I think this is it. I got this is my voice. Uh. Oh man. Yeah, it's too bad that you can't watch and react to videos on YouTube. So we'll be shutting off the YouTube. We'll leave it at that. That was me talking, and if you enjoyed more of me talking, I'll be back. I don't really need to promote anything. I'm here. Subscribe, like, do all of that. Uh, yeah. So I'm gonna turn off YouTube. How do I do that? Wait, can I not do that on here? I can't just turn YouTube off? I have to stop all of the streaming to turn off YouTube. Anyway, okay, I think I'm just gonna end it here. There's really no point in continuing. Um, if the technology doesn't work the way that it's supposed to work. So we've been doing about 3 hours. So at 2:45, we'll call it a day. Let's just call it a day. Blah 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 blah. Holy guacamole! We're still live.